Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll explain why California is mandating its own demise. In my last video I spoke about California's newly implemented solar mandate and how some communities are already expressing concerns. I only talked about the base level of these concerns, beginning with the Sacramento Municipal District's proposal to allow community solar farms in place of roof-based solar systems. For solar stocks such as Vivint, this still represents a small profit cut, as large solar farms will likely receive a lower volume rate than individual homeowners. But mandating solar in general is good, right?
Nope.
Probably not. I'm certainly conflicted on this topic because I own 43 shares of Vivint Solar, but I also believe in critical thinking skills. There are a few problems with Governor Gavin Newsom's plans. For those who aren't familiar with the topic, solar panels in general have a few glaring problems. The first is that they can only generate power when the sun is shining. This is true of all renewable energy sources. There are clouds, days that aren't windy, and times of drought. But solar suffers the worst penalty. For instance, look at this graph of when energy needs peak by season. While each season has slightly different energy needs, we use the most energy at night, regardless of the season. This means that we need energy when solar simply can't produce it. But batteries can store it, right? Again, not really. This article from SolarSage contends that the average US household used 30 kilowatts of energy daily last year, meaning 3 standard 10 kilowatt batteries can carry the load of a house. This is where the math gets muddy. According to Sunrun, which is the largest residential solar supplier in the US, an average sized array under normal conditions produces 1.5 kilowatt hours per day. So it would take an array 20 times larger to meet energy needs completely. And how much do the batteries themselves cost? Heading back over to Energy Sage, we see that batteries cost between $400 and $650 per kilowatt hours. The prices vary wildly. So the minimum cost would be $12,000, not including installation or other costs. Let's look at the popular Tesla Powerwall. A single unit could cost upwards of $4,000 to install. Plus there's a charge for supporting hardware. You see, with Tesla, you don't actually own what you purchase. Car repairs. But that's everything, right? No. You'd hope so. This is directly from Tesla's website. I'll drop the URL in the description if you don't believe me. But look at this. Depending on where you live, the Powerwall alone could cost you almost $800 a year. According to their own math, people in New Jersey could come out ahead by a whopping $20 a year. That's borderline criminal. And this is ignoring the biggest flaw of batteries. They lose capacity over time. Take your phone, for example. Have you ever noticed that 6 months or a year after you first bought it, the battery feels like it's draining faster? It's because it is. Sunrun says these battery units last anywhere from 5 to 15 years. Energy Matters has this insightful article about battery longevity and charge cycles. Tesla rates their Powerwall to a paltry 3,500 cycles, or roughly 10 years. I know I'm skipping around a lot, but stay with me. The other downside to batteries is that they can't be drained all the way down. In fact, most batteries are only rated for 90% of a charge cycle, and the remaining 10% is reserved to prevent damage. Long story short, batteries are not the solution. I'll take a brief pause right now so you can hit that like button if you haven't already. This video and the last few I've made have required a ton of research, time, and editing. If you like this video or any other I've made, feel free to subscribe and let me know what you want to see next. Look at this last video I made about tech stocks. It took forever. But now we'll get back to talking about solar. So solar isn't cheap and batteries aren't effective. But at least it's green. Kinda. Take this clip from John Stossel's YouTube channel reporting on the Green New Deal.
You have to mine all these materials for the batteries, and those mines are environmentally hazardous. Disposing of batteries is hazardous.
Batteries are a lousy way to store energy.
Physicist Mark Mills says energy like battery packs are anything but green.
You have to consume 100 barrels of oil's worth of energy in China to make that battery pack. But I have to dig up 1,000 pounds of stuff and process it. Digging up is done with oil, by the way, big machines. So we're consuming energy to, quote, save energy. It's not a good path to go.
That's right. We need oil, mining operations, and rare materials just to create solar panels. But let me put this in perspective. Look at how much material we're actually talking about. That's right. Per terawatt hour, solar is the worst. Look at what's most efficient. That's right. It's nuclear. Yes, there have been 3 meltdowns, but Chernobyl was human error combined with no dome in the event of an emergency. 3 Mile Island had negligent impacts, and in Japan they put a plant in a truthfully poor location. An estimate from Chemical and Engineering News Research estimated that 5,000 people have died from cancer or directly from nuclear power. That's it. The researchers believe that if we had used coal power instead, 1.8 million people would have died in that same time span. Stop listening to anti-nuclear propaganda, because look what's the safest energy source. Nuclear is astronomically safer than any other. But how about energy cost? Would you look at that? Nuclear is still cheaper than solar. Sure, it isn't the cheapest to build new power plants, but we have dozens of decommissioned nuclear plants in the US. And this is from the Brookings Institute, so the numbers are very likely accurate. You see, this bothers me, because as John Stossel says, there are always unintended consequences when government steps in. California is trying to do the right thing, but increasing the cost of living in a state with a homelessness crisis is crazy and bordering on psychotic. Solar is absolutely better than some options, but nuclear is the best option. I left out a lot of factors in this video, but numerous environmentalists now support nuclear. Energy.gov points out that all nuclear waste the US has ever produced could fit in a pit the size of a single football field 10 yards deep. That's it. So what's the better option? Legally compelling people to buy expensive solar panels that might save the homeowner some money requires inefficient toxic battery cells that will need replacement in a few decades and accounts for less than 1% of US energy, or nuclear. Estimates say that for solar to be permanently viable, batteries would need to get 10 times better. And look it up. The laws of physics say this is scientifically impossible. Like I said, solar's good, and that's why I'm invested in it. But nuclear is simply better. I'll be back soon with another video, and I'll see you then.